Time-traveling soul creates China's basketball GOAT. Please like, share and subscribe. Episode 21. Third largest score difference in history. Wang Zhelin passed the ball directly to the captain Fan Songlin. The latter started a fast break. Under the situation of 3-on-2 in the front court, he skillfully assisted a boss to make a layup. Fujian team started 4 o'clock ahead of Shaanxi team. Charles Dennis, who refused to admit defeat, asked for the ball again in one half, and this time his teammate gave him the ball. But he didn't realize that the Shaanxi team looked at him a little bit badly. Or maybe Charles Dennis had discovered it long ago, but he didn't care at all. Anyway, he was just here to make money, so why would he have any real relationship with these rookies? Damn, I was a little careless just now. This time I have to score. How could that mere celestial center be able to prevent me? He and I shouldn't be on the same level. After Charles Dennis got the ball, he launched a very aggressive attack again, and easily broke through Zhao Tailong's defense. No way, the difference in strength between the two is too great. Fortunately, Wang Zhelin, who had already done a good job of wiping his teammates' butts, appeared in the 3-second zone for the first time, and roared at Charles Dennis, who was not far in front of him. Come on, you are ugly, you can detain me if you have the ability. 1. Thanks to the O'Neal Superstar card at the Purple Diamond level, Wang Zhelin's English level has skyrocketed, and now he has mastered authentic American English. What? You dare to call me ugly? Do you know that in my country, I am famously handsome? Insulting my basketball skills, I can bear it for the sake of money, but if you dare to insult my handsome appearance, I absolutely cannot bear it. Although I don't know why, Wang Zhelin always felt that the individual player in front of him seemed to be looking at him with fire, and he was full of energy. But doubts turned into doubts, and he was more excited in his heart. Come here, son, let's see if Dad will reward you with your favorite big mouth. Charles Dennis sighed in his heart, took a few steps forward, then jumped with the momentum of running all the way, pulled the ball back with his right hand, and then pressed it down sharply. Sitting under the basket, Wang Zhelin quickly tightened the muscles all over his body. He knew that the more this happened, the less anxious he would be in his heart. There is only one chance, it is fleeting. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3, it's now. The moment Charles Dennis took off, Wang Zhelin jumped into the air. The bounce is not enough, let's make up the wingspan. Wang Zhelin, who possesses O'Neal's static talent, made the terrifying defensive pressure just now come to Charles Dennis again. Asshole, I can't be covered by you again. In desperation, Charles Dennis could not change the dunk into a low-handed basket, just to avoid Wang Zhelin's block. Unfortunately, he still underestimated the latter's wingspan. Snapped. In front of the audience of more than 4,000 people, Wang Zhelin once again successfully defended his basketball position. The ball was slapped out of bounds by him. The timer showed that there were 4 seconds left in the Shaanxi team's attack time. Captain Duan Jiangpeng forcibly missed the shot after receiving the ball. Xie Yakai advanced as usual after receiving the ball in the backcourt. When he came to the 3-point line, Wang Zhelin came over and made a pick-and-roll. The former broke through to the left. At this moment, a black shadow precisely blocked in front of him, and the person who came was Liu Xiaoming, the defender of the Shaanxi team. But Zhao Tailong didn't care, he directly hoisted the ball out. In that direction, it was Wang Zhelin who was already in the low position on the left. He casually glanced at the back, Shang Ping, who only had a comprehensive score of 45 and a height of 2.05 meters. He started to push the ladder a few times, and after knocking the ladder away, he directly set up his big elbows and turned to take off and dunk. Boom. After all, the difference in strength between the two is too great. He is not tall enough, his strength is not enough, and even his skills are not comparable to Wang Zhelin, which makes Shang Ping's defense in Wang Zhelin like a piece of paper. Not to mention, Wang Zhelin also has a silver-level talent skill including Tianzuan. As long as it is triggered, he can increase his 3 ability values, including dunk, bounce, and bounce count, by 4 points in 3 seconds. The double blow of strength and talent made Shang Ping suffer a lot. From the outside, Wang Zhelin just received the ball on the left near the basket, and then bumped it a few times at random, and then his defender was bounced off. For Wang Zhelin, the Shaanxi team's inside line is like the Changbanpo to Zhao Zilong. A single spear can go in and out 7 times. The rhythm of the next game was simple. The Shaanxi team was afraid of being led by Wang Zhelin on the inside, so they could only shoot wickedly on the outside, and they didn't want to come in at all. The Fujian team, on the other hand, insists on a steady style of play. After halftime, the point guard will directly hand over the ball to Wang Zhelin, let the ball pass through his hands, and finally let the latter decide whether the ball is played by himself or by himself. Support teammates. In fact, this is Yao Ming's tactical style of play set by the team's head coach Li Qiuping when he was in the Oriental Sharks. In any case, in every offensive round, the basketball must first pass through Yao Ming's hands. This has enabled Yao Ming to develop a passing ability that is much stronger than that of most inside players in the league. Among the highlights of Chairman Yao's career, there will never be a lack of that very spiritual pass from the back of the head. It is very clear that Wang Zhelin, who will be very popular in the league as a center player with first-hand coping ability in the future, will of course not miss the opportunity to develop his coping ability. Now in the CBA, he is a well-deserved boss, but when he arrives in the NBA, he will probably have to start as a rookie. There are not many opportunities to abuse vegetables, let's do it and cherish it. If you don't practice at this time, when will you wait? Toot. At the end of the whole game, the Shaanxi team players finally ended this nightmarish night. 148-92. A full 59 points difference. But it's actually not bad. The game with the largest regular season score difference in CBA history was a full 10 points more than this. The 69 points and 63 points of the first and second places novel were created in the 99-00 season, and the 59 points of the third place were created in the 08-09 season. And now the Fujian team and Shaanxi team have this game has been tied for third place. For the Shaanxi team, this is a great sadness. They successfully tied with the Dongguan team with the third largest regular season score difference in CBA history. They know that they will always be remembered as the pillar of shame in CBA history. Superior. Duan Jiangpeng, who scored 13 points, 1 assist and 3 turnovers in the whole game, looked at his teammates who were already pale, and his eyes suddenly turned red. But as the captain, he still remembered his responsibility. After scanning the crowd, he wiped the tears from his eyes and choked, let's go home. No one knows how the Shaanxi players who had been beaten to the core left the arena. Of course, no one would care, because they were losers. This is the cruelty of sports competition. Flowers and applause are always reserved for the final winner. MVP. At this time, more than 4,000 people in the Zhuchang Stadium, home of the Fujian team, were chanting the slogan of MVP. And who is the MVP for? Since it is the giant number 36 standing proudly on the court. 55 points, 28 rebounds, 4 blocks and 3 assists. This is the data handed over by Wang Zhelin in his CBA debut. The king's father and mother, who went to the home court to watch their son's first game in person, were like all parents in the world after the game and shouted excitedly to everyone around him, see that number 36, he is my son. It's my son. Episode 22, Next Yao Ming. At this time, Wang Zhelin, who was enjoying flowers, applause, and praise from countless people, was also very excited, but it soon became boring. Because at this moment, he is more awake than everyone else. Because at this moment, there is something that is urging him all the time. Because at this moment, he has not forgotten his strength, he is just a mere NBA fringe. Through the troubles of the mundane world, in the system space, the bright comprehensive rating, NBA fringe, on that person's panel made Wang Zhelin wake up quickly. Flowers and applause are really intoxicating. Standing in the middle of the stadium with his hips on his back, he looked around at the fans who were cheering for him for a week, but Wang Zhelin didn't feel that his mood was so happy. At this moment, he is also more aware of the difference between the NBA and the CBA. With only the strength of a marginal player in the NBA, he can become omnipotent in the CBA. In addition to the shock in his heart, there is more of an unspeakable grief and an inexplicable shame. Once again, he clearly realized that he still has a long way to go. And the Chinese men's basketball team has a long way to go. In the interview after the game, Wang Zhelin seemed to be the focus of the audience, commonly known as the most beautiful boy in the audience. And other teammates also wisely did not accompany him to attend the event. The only one who came with him was the new head coach Fan Bin. Fan Bin was sitting on Wang Zhelin's left at the moment, looking at the latter with a smile full of his uncle. Hello Zhelin, I'm Yan Lu, a frontline reporter from Hunthu Sports, can I call you that? Certainly. Unremarkable, after subconsciously glanced at it, Wang Zhelin nodded casually. Zhelin, he achieved such a brilliant result in the first battle of his debut, and also created the third largest point difference in the history of the CBA regular season. Have you ever imagined this before the game? To be honest, I have thought about it. Oh, have you thought about it? Yes, in fact, before the start of the game, our team felt that the victory of this game was almost certain, but I didn't expect to win so easily. What? The female reporter named Yan Lu was stunned. Brother, did you take the wrong script? Logically speaking, as the winner at this time, shouldn't you be humble and then comfort the loser to show your magnanimity? This is a straight man. A straight man with a lot of money. At this moment, Yan Lu has a label for Wang Zhelin in her heart. Well, so what do you want to say to your fans or your opponents now? As for the fans, I've only just started playing professionally, and I don't think I have much. Of course, I also hope that more and more fans and friends will like me and be willing to watch me play in the future. As for my opponents, I can only say that they didn't live up to my expectations. Oh, the expectation you just mentioned, can you share with us specifically? Actually, I only choose to play professionally. A large part of the reason is that I feel that there are not many people who can put pressure on me in the youth team competition. I came to the CBA because I was eager to face stronger opponents, but it is a pity. Having said that, Wang Zhelin stopped his speech. This long paragraph summed up, is this the CBA, that's all? Competitive spirit. The second label is generated. Half an hour later, the entire interview session was over. After Wang Zhelin returned to the locker room, he was wet. Thrilling from teammates. With a score difference of 59 points, as the winning side, the Fujian team will also be remembered in the history of the CBA. To use a popular saying in later generations, it is, we have never fought such a wealthy battle. After all, the Fujian team has always been a fringe team in the playoffs that has always made breakthroughs in the first round as a career goal. After playing such a heart-wrenching game, how could they not celebrate? No, the club's executives went to the locker room in person, handed a bottle of champagne to the players, and waited for the arrival of the protagonist Wang Zhelin. After knowing why his teammates were so excited, Wang Zhelin also held up the largest bottle of champagne left to him in front of him, and sprayed the surroundings. No one wants to walk out of this locker room today. Zhelin, your performance today is really great. I have watched CBA games for so many years. Apart from those foreign aides, only Yao Ming during the Shark era has had such a dominant performance as you. As the club's vice president, Wu Bolin naturally watched the whole game. At this time, her hair was also wet with champagne, and she came over with a flushed face. Obviously, Wu Bolin is also a fan who really loves the Fujian men's basketball team and basketball, and she will be excited with every goal the team scores. Really, then I can assure you now that there will be more games like this today, so you can just wait and see. Wang Zhelin said this from his heart, because after this game, he also knew that his strength is absolutely unique in today's CBA. Although the Guangdong club officially announced this season that Yi Jianlian, who has been in the NBA for 4 seasons, has re-signed a 1-year contract with the team, but Yi Jianlian will not be able to return to China until at least December. Wang Zhelin does not feel that he is here. Before, who can stop themselves in the current CBA? No, with his rapid progress, he believed that even if Yi Jianlian came back, he would not be his opponent. Really? Then I'm really looking forward to it. After seeing Wang Zhelin's dominance on the field, no one dared to question what the young man in front of him said. You bow your head, I have something to tell you. Suddenly, Wu Bolin mysteriously brought his body closer. What? Although there was some doubts, Wang Zhelin still bent down. Boom. Suddenly, Yu reading www.yuukaongshu.com. Wang Zhelin felt 2 pieces of softness sticking to his right cheek, but soon disappeared again, leaving only a touch of moisture. I was attacked by someone? Sister Bolin, you. Looking at the woman who stole a kiss before him, Wang Zhelin was stunned for a while. Don't get me wrong, this is your reward. I have to leave beforehand. Wu Bolin's heart can be described as mixed and complicated. At first, she was just a little curious. How did that little brother who would blush when he talked directly with him, how could he become so optimistic in such a short period of time, and his golf skills had risen to 3 or 4 floors. With such curiosity, she couldn't help but want to get closer to Wang Zhelin, but when she really got close, she suddenly acted like a ghost and made the shameful action just now. Looking at the back of the escape, Wang Zhelin suddenly felt an inexplicable sense of joy. In fact, we want to say, you can completely increase your strength to kiss on the mouth. What is the meaning of kissing on the face? Shaking his head, Wang Zhelin decided to put aside personal matters such as feelings for the time being, and his main task was to play football. The carnival lasted until late at night, and Coach Fan Bin also asked everyone to go back to their respective homes to find their respective mothers. Wang Zhelin, who fell asleep peacefully when he got home, didn't know that under the same starry sky, there were still a group of people who were still writing something. That's right, those who are still working overtime at this time are the shock department and netizen expression department in charge of editing the articles in the major news media in China. No, one of the most striking headlines has already been born. Shock. The netizens exclaimed, the next Yao Ming in the basketball world of the Celestial Dynasty has finally appeared. Episode 23, Championship Prediction Battle, 145,800. When he woke up, Wang Zhelin's first thing was not to wash his face and brush his teeth, but to enter the system space to check his fan value. Sure enough, the original fan value of more than 80,000 has skyrocketed by 60,000 after one game, and he can now meet the conditions for the Black Iron Lottery. But now he has other ideas. To be precise, he is no longer satisfied with the mere Black Iron Lottery. The famous writer Mr. Lu Xun also said, "My great dynasty lacks everything, just no shortage of people." This statement can be understood from either a positive or a negative perspective, and the same is true in the field of basketball. At this time, Yao Ming has just retired, and basketball is undoubtedly the most influential in China. Don't tell me anything, football is the #1 sport in the world. Even if it is the #1 sport in the world, what does it have to do with the national football team? Unless the national football team can produce a Yao Ming-style figure in world football, let's talk about domestic influence. The greater the influence, the greater the fan base, and now what Wang Zhelin needs to do is to fight more and more bravely in the CBA, to make his own reputation and make his own name. He wants to convince everyone to admit, Wang Zhelin is the only new generation leader who can carry the banner of the Chinese men's basketball team after Yao Ming's retirement. At that time, let alone 100,000 fans, even if it is 1 million, 10 million, or even 100 million, it is not impossible. After thinking about all this time Wang Zhelin broke free from the system space. It was 6 o'clock in the morning, and the sky in Quanzhou was still hazy, but there were continuous bursts of pa-pa-pa sounds from a certain community. If there are basketball fans, you can easily hear it. This is the sound produced by the close contact of basketball with the ground. It's good to have a basketball court at home, and you don't have to worry about disturbing the people. The only downside is that there is only one basketball, and you have to pick it up after you shoot it. After all, it's not at the club, and whoever has nothing to do at home will put a basket of basketballs. As for the king's father and mother, not to mention that they have long been used to their sons getting up early every day to practice football, but that people of their age actually have very short sleep time, and sometimes even get up earlier than Wang Zhelin. After practicing dribbling and mid-distance fixed-point jumping for an entire hour, Queen Mother Lin Huiqing has also prepared breakfast. You kid, as soon as you practice the ball, you follow the magic, and you don't know how to rest. Look at your sweat. As a former professional basketball player, Emily Lin is also very clear that if you want to practice basketball skills well, you must train your body to be exhausted enough to form muscle memory faster. But after all, the boy in front of him is his own son after all, the flesh that fell from his body. He was only 17 years old, still a child. Don't worry, Mom, I still don't know my body, this training volume is far from my limit, I'll go to the club to find Tom Bruce and practice again when it's dawn. Professional trainer, you can rest assured now. Okay, you just need to have your own measures, don't let your body break. While speaking, Wang Zhelin had swept away the food in front of him, and returned to the court after a short rest. Unlike the NBA, the CBA does not have as many as 82 regular season games. Here, basically every team only needs to play more than 30 rounds of games every season. This season, the Fujian team has 32 regular season games, or 32 games. With the continuation of the regular season, the opening ceremony shocked the Fujian men's basketball team in the league and continued its dark horse attitude. Under the leadership of its core leader Wang Zhelin, the team has won a record of 12 wins and 0 losses, and occupied the regular season championship position with 24 points. Additionally, in the CBA, all participating players played double round-robin games, winning 2 points for a game, 1 point for a loss, 0 points for abstention. This 12-game winning streak not only set the Fujian men's basketball team's best winning streak in history, but also made the Fujian men's basketball team an unprecedented regular season champion. As the owner of the Fujian men's basketball club and the CEO of Xuanqing Group, Shaquille, after witnessing the team's historic breakthrough, he waved his hand and held a grand celebration banquet in the highest local hotel. Of course, the big boss didn't forget to give all the club members a big red envelope in private. As the most popular super rookie Wang Zhelin, the red envelope he got is as high as 6 figures. After a short carnival, the Fujian men's basketball team ushered in the CBA's most powerful opponent, the Dongguan Bank team under the Guangdong Hongyuan South China Tigers Club. At this time, the Guangdong team has just completed the second longest 5 consecutive championships in CBA history, and it is a well-deserved dynasty team. This season, all members of the Guangdong team aim to achieve the 6th championship, so that they can tie the Bai team's 6 consecutive CBA championships. Now the Guangdong men's basketball team has a record of 11 wins and 1 loss, ranking second in the standings, second only to the Fujian men's basketball team, which has won 12 consecutive victories. As far as the current trend is concerned, the 2 teams with the most championship appearances are Fujian and Guangdong. As for the third-ranked Jingdong Shugong men's basketball team, since they were beaten by Fujian and Guangdong, no one thought they only had the potential to win the championship. Some people even predicted before the game that the match between Fujian and Guangdong Novel.me can almost decide the ownership of the CBA championship this season. On the evening of December 21st, the Fujian team played at home against the menacing defending champion Guangdong team. Although the defending champion Guangdong team experienced a brief shock at the beginning of the season and lost to the Qingdao team, it has gradually entered the right track, and recently won a wave of 7 consecutive victories. Currently, the Guangdong team ranks second among the 17 CBA League teams with an average net score of 107.8, and the first is naturally the Fujian team with an average of 112 points. With an average of 94.6 points per game, it also ranks at the forefront of the league. It is a true offensive and defensive team. Although Yi Jianlian, who has signed a contract, has not returned to the team, the Guangdong team is still the best in the CBA. Zhu Fangyu with a comprehensive score of 56, Wang Shipeng with a score of 53, Qin Jianghua with a score of 44, and Aaron Brooks with a score of 58 and James Singleton with a score of 55 are a pair of foreign aid. Is this the strength of the 5 CBA champions? It looks quite intimidating. Originally, Wang Zhelin was looking forward to the first meeting with the future men's basketball brother Yi Jianlian, but unfortunately the opponent seems to have been delayed for the 5th time in the recent NBA history, so he has not returned to China. In fact, it's okay not to come back. If I remember correctly, Yi Jianlian was accidentally injured on his knee by his teammates because he returned to China to play games. As a result, he delayed his contract with the Mavericks and failed to get along well with the team. Since then, Yi Jianlian's NBA career has almost come to an end. This ferocious Guangdong team ranks second in overall strength among the 17 teams at present. I hope Zhu Ba and Wang Qi can provoke a little bit of their desire to fight. Episode 24, Old Win, December 21st, the 27th day of the winter moon in the lunar calendar, can be regarded as the coldest time of the year. Outside, the poor winter is fierce, the cold wind is rustling, and everything is depressed. In the Zuchong Gymnasium, the overwhelming cheers and shouts were like a warm sun, like the warm light of early spring, sprinkled on the bodies of more than 4,000 people at the scene, warming everyone's heart. Hello everyone in front of the TV audience. ×2. I'm your old friend Zhang Weiping/Yu Jia. This game is the 14th round of the CBA regular season. Both teams are one of the favorites to win this season. It can almost be said to be the most watched and hottest game of the season. For this reason, the CBA official specially invited to the domestic ace commentator. Now the game can take off completely before the official start of the game. After the two looked at each other and smiled, Zhang Weiping, who was more senior, took the lead and said, Yu Jia, before the start of this season, did you ever think that the Fujian team could win the only 12-game winning streak in team history, temporarily ranking first in the league record? Guide Zhang, you are making fun of me. I believe it's not just you and me. Even the most loyal fans of the Fujian men's basketball team can't imagine that their home team can actually be the regular season champion. Yu Jia waved his hands again and again. Yeah, how unimaginable this is, but if everyone knows the specific data of Wang Zhelin, the core of the Fujian team, I am afraid it will not be surprising. Speaking of which, both of them turned their attention to the big screen behind. Wang Zhelin, born in 1993, 17 years old this year, officially joined the CBA Fujian Xuanqing Men's Basketball Club from 2011 to 2012. He has played in 12 professional games, with an average playing time of 39.5 minutes and 35.4 points. Rebounds, 5.2 blocks, 1.5 assists, 2.3 steals and 2.5 turnovers, with an average shooting percentage of 75.2%, and is temporarily ranked as the scoring, rebounding, blocking, and dunking champions of the regular season this season. Immediately afterwards, the big screen is divided into 2 parts. The left side is Wang Zhelin's detailed data, and the right side is Yao Ming's average per game in the CBA 2001-02 season, which is his final season and his peak season. Averaged 32.4 points, 19 rebounds, 4.8 blocks, 2.6 assists, and 1.7 steals per game on 72.1% shooting. From this data, we can see what level of dominance Yao Ming had in the CBA league. The most terrifying thing is that the 17-year-old Wang Zhelin is better than Yao Ming in other statistics except that the assists are slightly lower than Yao Ming. When the comparison of the two data came out, everyone in the home stadium, including the staff, players, and spectators, took a breath. This son, how terrifying. He shouldn't be in the CBA league. Since it has reached this point, I don't want to hide it anymore. I am actually a 10-year-old fan of the Fujian men's basketball team. For a time, 10-year-old fans of the Fujian men's basketball team have sprung up like mushrooms after a rain. As the owner of the center of the whirlpool, Wang Zhelin appeared calm, and sat in the rest area with his eyes closed. On the surface, his statistics are better than Yao Ming in the 2001 to 2002 season, but in fact, his current strength is probably not comparable to Yao Ming. You know, Yao Ming was able to get 13.5 points, 8.2 rebounds, 1.8 blocks, and 1.7 assists in his first year in the NBA. Now he has no confidence to get such stats in the NBA. If it wasn't because the Mosaic team failed to enter the playoffs that year, but the Suns, where Stoudemire was in, did, it is still unknown who the best rookie of that year was. Besides, in the CBA at the beginning of the century, there was still a lot of ruthless people in the league. When it comes to the scoring list, there is Liu Yudong, the god of war, who averages 36.4 points per game and occupies the top of the scoring list. He has steadily overtaken Yao Ming. Not to mention the Tiger King Sun Jun, who is averaging 30 points per game. This senior is also a famous superscorer in the CBA. When it comes to the rebounding list, Wang Zhelin deeply remembers that Yao Ming averaged 19 rebounds per game that year, but he was not the rebounding champion. Because it was Shaanxi's foreign aide Gates who won the rebounding championship that year, averaging 19.9 rebounds per game. Chairman Yao's stats of 32 plus 19 back then, he still couldn't win the scoring and rebounding titles, he could only barely earn a living as the block king, and there was no one left. This is the gang of animals in the CBA that year, and it can also be described in 4 words. So terrifying. And now? The only opponent worth looking forward to, Yi Jianlian, has yet to come back. He has basically beaten all foreign players, and few inside players can play. To be honest, the current CBA can no longer have any interest in Wang Zhelin. Is this the height of Yao Ming in the CBA? Very good, just a little hypoxia. The warm-up time is over, and players from both sides begin to enter the field. Fujian starters are still the same. The Guangdong team starters are Aaron Brooks, Zhou Peng, Zhu Fengyu, Dong Hanlin, and Su Wei. What should be paid attention to in this starting lineup is Xia Haidu and Zhu Ba. These are the 2 major reliances of the Guangdong team at this time. As for Wang Shipeng, he is now a veteran and can only make way for the young player Zhou Peng. 1 peng for 1 peng, this transaction is not a loss. The first quarter of the match between the 2 sides started, Wang Zhelin succeeded with a jump ball, and the Fujian team attacked first. Just when Xie Yakai received the ball and was about to move forward, a dark shadow passed by him. Oops! No one expected that Aaron Brooks did not choose to return for a visit, but launched a fierce defense against Xie Yakai, directly confiscating the ball in his hand. After the steal succeeded, Brooks started at full speed and scored 2 points with ease. Be careful. If you make such a low-level mistake again, you won't have to play this game. Although Xie Yakai knows that the strength gap between Aaron Brooks and Aaron Brooks is indeed a bit big, it is by no means that he can't even protect the ball. Obviously, the 12-game winning streak of the Fujian team has almost made some people in the team unable to recognize their true strength, and it has become a little bloated. This makes him very dissatisfied. Well, I see. Seeing Wang Zhelin's gloomy black face that was about to drip, Xie Yakai quickly assured. If outside the court, Wang Zhelin is an optimistic and cheerful big boy who can make jokes, then on the court, he is a cold-faced who strictly demands his teammates and himself. On the field, teammates can only see Wang Zhelin's smile when the whistle that represents the victory of the game sounds. Wang Zhelin didn't want to do a pointless return run, so he took a good position in the front court. As a power forward, Abbas returned to his own half-court to serve. In the process of Xie Yakai advancing with the ball, Aaron Brooks stepped forward to put pressure on him, but this time he focused on Xie Yakai's steady dribbling of the ball across the half-court. That's what it sounds like. After Zhao Tailong stepped forward and made a pick-and-roll for Xie Yakai, the latter took the ball to the left, while Wang Zhelin was slanting from the right to get to the position, and the ball was quickly passed to him. Although Su Wei, who was defending himself, was 2.13 meters tall, he was just that. Su Wei's body was knocked apart with a hard butt. Zhu Fengyu, who was on the side, saw that something was wrong, so he hurried over to help defend, but unfortunately it was too late. Boom! Wang Zhelin very easily completed the iconic two-handed dunk on Su Wei and Zhu Fengyu. Wang Zhelin, MVP. Wang Zhelin, MVP. At this moment, being a Fujian fan is undoubtedly lucky and happy, because it is unknown how many times Wang Zhelin has brought them a visual feast. The taste of victory is always so intoxicating. Although before the game, the head coach of the Guangdong team, Li Chunjiang, had already made a foolproof strategy for Wang Zhelin. For example, when to double team, when to let go, and when to attack. Yu reading www.ukanshu.com. But unfortunately, when the game was really going on, he realized that his so-called all-encompassing strategy was a big joke in front of the giant beast on the field. The so-called double-teaming and hacking, except that they can only leave a red mark on Wang Zhilin's hand, have no impact on the direction of the game at all. If anything, it would only extend the time of defeat a little. In the first quarter, the Guangdong team could still rely on Zhu Fengyu's three-pointers to keep the difference within 10 points. The two sides ended the first quarter at 27-18. In the second quarter, when Wang Zhelin was determined to go all out, the Guangdong team's once proud inside line combination was like a piece of paper in an instant, and it was broken with a stab. 56-28. At the end of the second quarter, the defending champion Guangdong team only got a pitiful 10 points in front of the super dark horse Fujian team. At the end of the third quarter, the difference between the two teams had reached 35 points, and Wang Zhelin, the core of the Fujian team, had gone to rest with a supersized triple-double of 43 points, 25 rebounds and 11 blocks. The three-quarter clock and off-get-off work-style winning streak has become a dazzling label for the Fujian team led by Wang Zhelin. Some experts have even made statistics that if Wang Zhelin can play all the time, the data he has obtained so far can at least increase by about 15%. In the words of an unknown basketball commentator who was still in the bathing center, as I said earlier, Wang Zhelin has nothing to talk about, so he is just like that. Old wins. Win every day. Watching him win has become the norm. His performance has always made us feel it. Very stable. Then you say, what else is there to talk about? Episode 25. This era is called Wang Zhelin. Toot. At the end of the game, the defending champion Guangdong team was slaughtered by Fujian team with 38 points at 121-83. Wang Zhelin returned to the locker room with a blank face amid the cheers of MVP from the fans. Victory can be addictive, but not. He can't wait to end the season now, go to the NBA as soon as possible, and taste the blood of the players in the highest league on earth. To outsiders, in the next half-season, Wang Zhelin seemed to have completed a new evolution. Not only did he act aggressively on the court, but his style of play was even more brutal than before. There are many inside players from teams who have said that it takes at least 10 days to play against Wang Zhelin. There must be some exaggeration in these words, but it is enough to make people feel what kind of deep impression Wang Zhelin has brought to the CBA insiders. When the last game of the 2011-2012 CBA regular season ended, the Fujian team returned to Xinjiang with a 45-point victory at home in Xinjiang. The extremely crazy performance naturally brought him rich rewards. This season, Wang Zhelin played in a total of 30 games, and the average per game has improved on the basis of the previous level, scoring 35.6 points, 23 rebounds, 6.2 blocks, 2.5 assists, 2.8 steals and 3.1 turnovers. Even mistakes have to be improved, which is very particular. There is no doubt that such data is unprecedented in the history of the CBA, even for Yao Ming back then. This season, Wang Zhelin has successfully won the scoring, rebounding, block, and dunk titles, as well as the first and possibly last regular season MVP trophy in his career. In the playoffs, Wang Zhelin led the Fujian team to the top, and won the CBA championship trophy in the 2011-2012 season with a good record. He himself won the FMVP with an average of 52 points, 28 rebounds, and 6 blocks per game. Since then, Wang Zhelin, who has just debuted for a year, has won the Grand Slam of CBA individual awards and group awards except for the Steals King. This year, he was only 18 years old. After the Guangdong team suffered a 3:00 clean sheet, all the players left Zucheng Gymnasium with their heads drooping. There is no loser who wants to witness the whole process of the winner ascending to the highest stage. The fans at the scene had stopped cheering, and the staff had set up the award stage early. Everything is ready, waiting for the generals of the Fujian team who are arranging their appearance in the locker room. When the generals of the Fujian team, who had put on the championship jerseys, appeared in the aisle of the stadium, the scene was silent at first, and then thunderous applause and endless cheers resounded throughout the stadium again. Finally arrived at the award ceremony of the championship. This time, the presenters who stood on the podium surprised everyone. Because the person standing on the stage is the height of the Celestial Dynasty, Yao Ming, who just retired. Why isn't the guest of honor of the championship the same person from before? I didn't expect Yao Ming to be invited as the guest of honor this time. How is this possible? If Yao Ming doesn't want to come, no one can force him. In my opinion, he must have come on his own initiative. Yao Ming, the #1 basketball player in China, is the most attractive sight no matter where he goes. Not only because of his height, but also because of his great contribution to the Chinese basketball. Di Yao, hello. As the first hero of winning the championship, Wang Zhelin took the lead in leading his teammates to the award stage. So hi. This is the biggest feeling in Wang Zhelin's heart. I really didn't expect that one day I will be able to be set off as a skinny person by others. Hello Zhelin, I have watched a lot of your games this season. You are much better than I was back then. The future is yours. When shaking hands with Wang Zhelin, Yao Ming said a famous NBA quote. Actually, I prefer it to be mine now. Wang Zhelin raised his head a little, those very aggressive eyes stared straight at Yao Ming. You're right, in the current CBA, you have the final say. But I hope it's the same in the NBA. Then you will face tougher setbacks and require more effort. I know, but I believe I can do it more. Then I'll wait and see. After a simple exchange, Yao Ming also took the initiative to give this ambitious young junior a warm hug. Talent, ambition, and blood are also good things. Now the men's basketball team lacks such people. The awards ceremony for the finals went on in sequence, and it was finally time to issue the finals MVP trophy. Before Yao Ming announced the answer, everyone was already chanting Wang Zhelin's name. Haha, it seems that I don't need to say that everyone knows the answer. So Zhelin, what do you want to say to the fans who support you? As a result, when Yao Ming handed over the microphone, Wang Zhelin first turned around slowly, looked around the crowd, and finally raised the microphone. How to say? First, I would like to thank my parents for giving me this body, and I'm glad I didn't live up to their expectations. Secondly, I would like to thank the coaching staff and my teammates. This championship trophy is the fruit of victory that we fought side by side. It is inseparable from everyone's efforts to get to this point. Third, of course, I want to thank those fans and friends who like me and support me. Thank you for your silent efforts behind the scenes. Then in the end, there is one more thing I want to tell you about Yu reading www.yuukaongshu.com. After a short pause, Wang Zhelin continued, CBA is no longer challenging for me. We'll be ready to sign up for this year's NBA draft. Wow. The rumor is actually true. As early as the playoffs, there were rumors that there was such a clause in Wang Zhelin's rookie contract. If the player can help the club win the CBA championship in the 2011 to 2012 season, the club will fully support him to enter the NBA. At that time, the credibility was not very big, but as Wang Zhelin became more and more brave in the playoffs, more and more people believed in this rumor. Finally, Wang Zhelin now announces himself, I'm here for real. After 2 or 3 minutes, Wang Zhelin felt that the mood of the people at the scene should have almost calmed down. I still remember that when I just made some achievements, someone told me that your future goal is to become the next Yi Jianlian. I still remember that on the night I won the regular season, someone told me that your future goals should be on par with Yao Ming. But what I want to say today is that I don't want to be anyone, I am who I am. If you insist on saying it, then I want to tell all of you that this era of the Chinese men's basketball team belongs to me, and this era is called Wang Zhelin. Looking at the green boy in the middle of the stadium, who held the microphone in his left hand and pointed his right index finger to the ground, everyone was amazed, but everyone somehow felt that this boy's words were right. Whose youth is not crazy? Perhaps as he said, this era should be called Wang Zhelin. Episode 26, Advocate for 7 Wolves. Come on, Zhelin, I respect you. Thanks to you, our Fujian team has undergone such earth-shaking changes. The person who presided over this celebration was naturally Shaquille, the owner of the Xuanqing Men's Basketball Club and the CEO of the Xuanqing Group. If it weren't for the fact that he really loves basketball, Shaquille would not have founded the Xuanqing Men's Basketball Club in the last century, and he still gave strong support to the Xuanqing Men's Basketball Club when it was unable to break through the curse of the first round year after year. You are too kind, Mr. Kong. Fujian is my hometown. I will work hard for my hometown team. I will never turn back. At this time, Wang Zhelin was 18, and it would not hurt to have a drink or two occasionally. Hey, didn't we say that last time? Just call me Uncle Kong. It's common to call Mr. Shi. As an old fox who has been in business for decades, Shaquille naturally felt the sincerity in Wang Zhelin's words. The smile on his face grew brighter. Then forgive me for climbing high, thank you Uncle Kong. After speaking, Wang Zhelin continued to swallow the glass in one gulp. Shaquille also knew that he would only keep the male basketball players away, so he went to another private room after sending out the red envelopes. When the aura of the boss disappeared in this private room, the atmosphere inside suddenly became active. After all, surrounded by a group of young people of similar age, it is easy to get excited. This celebration was held from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. All the drunk people were sent back to their homes by special personnel, and Wang Zhelin was no exception. Perhaps the teammates also know very well that this is probably the only time in their career that they can be teammates with Wang Zhelin, the Qianlong. Did you see that triple X? He and I were teammates back then. Did you see that triple X? Back then I passed the ball for him. Tonight is the first time Wang Zhelin has been drunk since he was reborn. He doesn't know who brought him back. He only knows one thing now. My head hurts. You kid, you don't know what to learn. You learn to drink, and you drink so much for the first time. After seeing Wang Zhelin go downstairs in a daze, his mother, Emily Lin, served him the hangover soup that had been prepared. I knew that scolding you hurt me the most. Wang Zhelin put the hangover soup aside, gently hugged his mother, and kissed her on the face. Okay, how old are you when you're not ashamed? You know, the hippie smile, and quickly drink the hangover soup. It should be more comfortable. Your dad and I still have to go to work. With a smile, she wiped the kiss on her left cheek, and Lin Huiqing couldn't help but remind her again. I see. Then you should pay attention to safety. Also, tell my dad to drive slowly. Okay, when you come back, Mom will cook your favorite fried beef for you. Not long after Wang Zhelin finished drinking the hangover soup, the doorbell rang. Could it be that something fell? He thought that his parents forgot to take something, and hurried over to open the door. Hey, Uncle Zhou, why are you? When he opened the door, he saw that it was his manager Zhou Yang. Why, aren't you welcome? Zhou Yang raised his eyebrows at Wang Zhelin. Nothing. My parents just went out. I thought they forgot to take something. Okay, can you let me in then? Oh. After the two came to the living room to sit down, Zhou Yang also stated the purpose of his trip. The national team intends to recruit you this time. If nothing else, March 20th will be the reporting time for the first batch of personnel, including you. Oh. Wang Zhelin took a sip of tea and nodded very casually. Aren't you surprised? What's so surprising? I was originally a member of the second team of the national team. In addition to my performance this season, if someone doesn't recruit me, it is estimated that the people of the whole country will not be able to forgive them. 2. It was only then that Zhou Yang remembered that the man in front of him was no longer an ordinary 18-year-old who had just come of age, but a man who was already well known in the sports world. Even in the United States, some NBA teams were paying attention. The talented center. Then the second thing is the endorsement I mentioned earlier. Oh, do you have any good endorsements? In fact, endorsement has already been done. When Wang Zhelin gradually became influential, countless businessmen began to find him. It's just that at that time, he and his agent Zhou Yang both refused commercial endorsements on the grounds that they were minors and their current priority was to finish the regular season. But now that the entire season has been played, and he has become an adult, those businessmen have naturally come to the door again. Actually it can be said that there are countless, just waiting for you, the emperor, to flop. When speaking of the endorsement, Wang Zhelin could clearly feel that his agent was breathing heavily. It seems that some merchants do give a lot. First of all, give me all the endorsements from outside the province. After all, this is my first endorsement. It is really unreasonable not to leave the opportunity to my hometown elders in Fujian. Well, there is nothing wrong with this, Zhou Yang agreed. Secondly, the endorsement of sports brands novel. Also give me a pass whether it is sneakers, jerseys, or sports equipment. If I sign now, I am sorry for my future value. Are there any other requirements? In the end, just sign a shorter contract, preferably 1 to 2 years. This is my bottom line. Wang Zhelin thought for a while and gave his final request. Then let me see if there are any that meet the requirements. Yes, these 3 are more suitable. Wang Zhelin took it over and took a look. These brands are all big brands that he is familiar with. Dalyuan, Tiguanyan and the famous father sees his son die, draw out 7 wolves. Speaking of the 7 wolves, in fact, the first thing they do is men's clothing, and they should be famous for their clothes, but I don't know when it started, but the meme about their belts quickly became popular. Dalyuan and Tiguanyan in front are both famous domestic brands, but he never noticed that these brands are actually from Chuanzhou. In particular, Dalyuan, Dianhudian and Kopik under the Dali group. I ate a lot when I was an otaku in my last life. I can accept these 3 brands. You can go back and discuss the endorsement fee with them. By the way, if possible, I would like to endorse the men's belts of Septwolves. Row. Although it was difficult to understand Wang Zhelin's hobby, Zhou Yang still nodded. Watching the agent Zhou Yang gradually go away, Wang Zhelin's smile became more and more strange. Out of a curiosity to play with history, he couldn't wait to see, if he endorsed the 7 wolves, whether the meme of later generations would be passed down. TSK, I think it's very interesting when I think about it. Episode 27, 8 Draws, The Familiar Tunnel, The Familiar Darkness, and The Familiar Light. Wang Zhelin entered the white system space again. System, call up the lottery panel. Wang Zhelin, who has been in and out again and again, has no idea how many times he has been in and out, saying that he has become boring. This is how men are. Once they enter the sage mode, the whole person becomes hard when they speak. Current fan value, 3.85 million. After the fan value exceeds 1 million, the new fan value is 10,000 for reference. 3 silver draws, 8 black iron draws, and 5 bronze draws. This is the result of Wang Zhelin's nearly 5 months of hard work. Bronze-level lottery draws are no longer in Wang Zhelin's consideration. He now guarantees his target minimum consumption from 100,000 yuan. What he pursues is the ability value above 60 plus. Although he now has a purple diamond level O'Neal Superstar card as a foundation, O'Neal is too biased. Although this card has brought him the most important strength attributes in the center position, as well as first-class injury resistance and layup ability, O'Neal's internal and external defense and shooting abilities in his later years were really bad. The most important thing is that whether it is O'Neal in his old age or his original self, his physical fitness is too poor. In the CBA, he can advance and retreat freely and with ease, but in the NBA, this kind of physical strength may not last for 20 minutes. In order to survive the fierce hand-to-hand combat, he desperately hopes to draw a player card that can make up for his physical weakness. Otherwise, when he arrives in the NBA in the future, apart from his supernatural power and good finishing ability at the basket, I am afraid that he will not have any ability that can be of great use. Now he can be said to have no speed, no rebounds if he wants rebounds. Seriously, this type of player probably won't even get a blue-collar job in the NBA. After all, blue-collar workers still have certain defenses and rim protection, and he can only be used as an ordinary meat shield backup center in the NBA. Apart from that, there is nothing else to do. System, can you pump continuously? Before the lottery draw, Wang Zhelin suddenly remembered the 10 consecutive draws in various magical advertisements in his previous life. What about 10 consecutive draws that will bring out the magic Guan Yu and the golden legend? The brainwashing ability of those advertisements is really not covered. Yes, but as a friendly reminder, 10 consecutive draws will not affect any probability of your card draw, because the upper limit is already there. Well, as soon as he didn't pay attention, the system snooped into his inner thoughts again. Oh, that's it, I see. Then give me the black iron rank 8 draws first. System, okay. The cold system will never be able to understand human beings' obsession with continuous pumping. No, it can even be said to be a belief. It is obvious that you can play consecutive draws, but you have to play single draws. That is the practice of salted fish players. Wang Zhelin expressed serious contempt. This time, unlike the past, the lottery turntable above did not turn black first, but was directly divided into 8 rows and floated in front of him in 2 rows. Is this a new special effect unlocked? After the familiar ranting session was over, the 8 lottery panels in front of them quickly turned from milky white to colorful black, and then began to rotate clockwise. Looking at the lottery panel that was just starting to spin faster, Wang Zhelin suddenly shouted, "Stop it for me." This time, the whole lottery process only lasted for a few seconds and ended. Oh. The 8 lottery panels glowed with black light at the same time, followed by bursts of sharp and harsh voices. Wang Zhelin took a closer look and saw that 8 black eagles were attacking him. It's a pity that these things are not worth mentioning at all in front of Wang Zhelin, who has already experienced the barking of dragons and dogs. Now he is a little curious. The bronze dog, the black iron eagle, and the purple diamond dragon have all come out, so what animal should be matched behind the silver and gold? A tiger or a leopard or a lion? If it was a leopard, wouldn't he have to hurry up to find Gigi syrup? After getting rid of those messy thoughts, Wang Zhelin turned his attention to the 8 black cards in front of him. According to the regulations of the lottery panel, the black iron level lottery function selects 3 individual ability values corresponding to the star card, and the star card will never have any ability value exceeding 70. Kevin Seraphim, Season 15-6 version 60, Miles Plumley, 2013-14 version 65, Valperdo, 99-00 season version 61, Chris Mim, 2007-2008 season version 62, John Henson, 19-20 season version 63, Ben Poquet, 85-86 season version 66, Luke Longley, 97-98 season version 69, Jim Peterson, 91-92 season version 60. Looking at the group of players in front of him who didn't even have an impression, let alone names, Wang Zhelin was speechless. Alas, although I know that cheap is not good, it should not be so bad. Among the 8 player cards, many players have overlapping abilities, which is equivalent to opening an identical card. From this moment on, Wang Zhelin decided to raise his bottom line a little bit. Let's go and spend millions of dollars. The coincidence rate of 100,000 level black iron level lottery cards is too high. Fortunately, there is another Luke Langley, who can be regarded as a short general. Wang Zhelin was quite curious about Luke Langley, who scored 4 points higher than O'Neill in the later years of his career. A few minutes later, Wang Zhelin, who had read the profile of Luke Langley's career, had a strange expression on his face. The starting center of the Bulls post-3P era. Winner of 3 NBA championship rings. What's more annoying is that in a fire in 2007, he lost his 3 championship rings. In this regard, Wang Zhelin didn't know whether to say this to be lucky or unfortunate. It is not an exaggeration to say that such a life is a legend. However, what Wang Zhelin cares about most is the opponent's 69 mid-range shots, 62 passes and 60 rebounds. Luke Langley is a late-forming player. The 1997-98 season was the best year of his career, and the 98-99 Wang Zhelin got was the year he was traded to the Phoenix Suns. Although this year was the penultimate year of his career, he was still able to get 8.7 points, 5.7 rebounds and 1.2 assists. The reason why this guy was able to sit firmly as the Bulls' starting center during the post-3 consecutive championship period was because of his stable open mid-range shot and a decent support. After all, that Bulls team had Jordan and Pippen on the perimeter and Rodman on the inside. All he had to do was hit those open after receiving the pass. And now, your ability is mine. Among the remaining players, Miles Plumlee, an elderly jumper, is attractive with his 67 bounce, 60 bounce speed and 62 explosive force, and none of the other 6 can hit it. Fortunately, he can directly inherit the abilities of players of the same level, so there is no need to waste extra training time. In the end, Wang Zhelin chose to inherit Miles Plumlee's bounce speed, and explosiveness and Luke Langley's mid-range shooting, passing, and rebounding. As for the remaining cards, after asking the system, useless player cards can only be destroyed directly, because those junk things are not worth keeping. This is very realistic. Episode 28, Water Drift. See also Water Drift. The pads in front are completely mature, and the next step is the exciting million-level lottery. Seeing this 1 million silver lottery draw, Wang Zhelin remembered the 800,000 fan value he just threw away, and 600,000 was lost. M&P, if the silver level lottery doesn't satisfy me, I'll never play again in my life. The black iron level lottery draw. With a hint of apprehension and desire, he started the silver level lottery. The operation of the system always surprises him, and the animal that came out this time is a white horse. But don't say it, at least it is much better looking than the bronze dog and the black iron eagle. Presumably the legendary Zhao Zilong's lion that shines in the night is nothing more than that. Jermaine O'Neal, NBA 2012-1365 overall. Finally, there is a player who has a bit of an impression. Expensive things, apart from the disadvantage of being expensive, do have their reasons. As for Jermaine O'Neal, Wang Zhelin is still a little impressed. After all, he is a 5-time All-Star player, so he must have some hard goods on him. Although this little O'Neal was in the Suns era and has reached the end of his career, his skills still have 6 or 7 successes at their peak. 78 free throws, 74 mid-range shots, 68 interior defense, 63 rebounds, 61 ball control. As expected of an all-star player, even though he is old, his skills are still very popular. But now Wang Zhelin is not in a hurry to inherit, because he still has 2 chances to draw a lottery. This time, he decided to make 2 consecutive draws. If he finished things earlier, he could end the feeling of anxiety earlier. As the 2 horses barked, 2 cards floated in front of Wang Zhelin again. The first card was Andrew Bynum in the 2013-14 season. He was once the second center in the league and a typical representative of squandering his talent. He was only 29 years old when he was forced to retire because he was unable to stop the ball. When he saw this, Wang Zhelin felt that something was wrong. He had a big shark on him, and now there is a small shark. Sure enough, after reading Bynum's star card data, he couldn't help but sigh. This is the nunnery owner of the Pacers. Just looking at the dazzling data, 11.5 points and 9.5 rebounds, always makes people feel that he should not appear in the silver lottery area. But here comes the problem. This guy was fired after only 2 games in the Pacers. The data from these 2 games has a gross reference. Therefore, the only thing the system reserves for this Bynum card is his 70+ strength and 70+ layup. But there's a fart. He had a big shark card himself, but he also gave him a small shark. Isn't this for nothing? The more he thought about it, the more angry Wang Zhelin turned his attention to the second card. He could only hope that the second card would give him some comfort. Oh, my boy. When he saw the head portrait on the card, Wang Zhelin suddenly thought of these words. JaVale McGee, a wonderful person affectionately called the first center under the head by fans. In fact, McGee not only has no problem with his brain in reality, but is also a scholar. It was only because he was born with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, that he could not concentrate on the court. So many jokes later. After seeing the picture of McGee smirking on the card, Wang Zhelin also smirked. Don't get me wrong, he wasn't infected by McGee, but because he knew that he probably earned it. JaVale McGee, 2016-17 version 67. This season, my boy started 10 of 77 games for the Golden State Warriors, averaging 6.1 points, 3.2 rebounds and 0.9 blocks per game. Of course, this is not the point is my boy's physical fitness. 65 speed, 71 explosive power, 68 agility, 78 bounce, 75 bullet speed, 64 physical fitness. As an insider, he has a jumping ability of 78, which is close to the league's first-class level, which is really unimaginable. Is this the famous first center in the league below the head? You know, at this time, Big McGee has been in the league for nearly 10 years. He is no longer the super jumper who performed 3 dunks with both hands in the dunk contest. The dynamic physical talent can still be maintained like this, which is not bad. How is it like the master of the nunnery? Wait, Wang Zhelin suddenly remembered. It seems that the abilities of the 2 player cards he inherited in the first round of the 8th consecutive draw have been overwritten by Jermaine Onialka and Makika, who have just been drawn. Plus that useless silver-level nunnery master card. Didn't he lose nearly 1.8 million fans in this wave? A full 1.8 million. For a while, the more he thought about it, the more angry he became, and the more he took a step back, the more he lost. He couldn't bear it any longer. What is this called? Just now, I gave 600,000 in vain, but now I'm taking it all in. Then what's the point of the Black Iron Lottery? My fans are worth it. You give me back my fan value for the dog system. After howling for a long time, Wang Zhelin, who couldn't squeeze out a single tear, found that the system had no conscious intention to issue compensation, so he stopped his clumsy acting that was slightly better than AB. There is a saying that eating one cut grows one's wisdom. After this lottery draw, Wang Zhelin felt that his bottom line had to be raised again. In the future, it's better to guarantee the minimum consumption of 1 million, and then forget about the 100,000. He has no love for black iron slag. Hurry up, destroy it, I don't want to see you again. With full of grief and anger, he destroyed all the 6 black iron cards he had previously borne. Every destruction also means new life. Now is the time to be reborn. Jermaine sang. McKezin. Lend me your strength. Come together, Maki Kizang. Of course, the above is an exaggerated version, and the process of the normal version is as simple as ever. Put the card on the avatar of your personal panel and wait for it to disappear. Name, Wang Zhelin. Affiliated team, Fujian Men's Basketball Team / China National Men's Basketball Youth Team. Age, 18. Position, center. Height, 216 centimeters. Weight, 125 kilograms. Arm span, 231 centimeters. Standing touch height, 287 centimeters. Palm, 27.9 centimeters. Body hidden attributes. Lower body strength, 88. Upper body strength, 84. Speed, 59. Power, 63. Agility, 61. Bounce, 68. Bullet speed, 65. Physical fitness, 60. Injury resistance, 75. Offensive ability, relying on hits, 70. Laying up, 80. Mid-range, 69. Long range, 62. Dunks, 70. Passes, 62. Ball possession, 55. Free throws, 68. Breakthrough, 48. Defensive ability, external defense, 30. Internal defense, 62. Rebounds, 60. Blocks, 55. Steals, 45. Overall rating, 71. Rotating core. Evaluation, offensive strong, defensive weak players. Novel, me basically have the ability to stand on any team in the NBA, and can play a miraculous effect when the team's starting players are unable to open the situation, and has become a super 6th human potential. Talent skills, innate power, purple diamond, dunk Tinzuan, silver plus, the original O'Neal superstar card, except for the ability of upper and lower body strength, injury resistance, layup and relying on hitting, etc. All the remaining abilities have been successfully inherited by him. After all, the film is nearly half a year old. Not for nothing. After watching the film and then practicing, it will be very efficient. Whoever tries it will know. After the trial, say yes. Although it was said that the lottery was unsuccessful one after another, he was quite satisfied with the final result. In particular, the appearance of Big Mackie has greatly strengthened his dynamic physical talent. It is better to directly strengthen his dynamic talent from the previous third-rate to the second-rate NBA level. In just a week or two, it will be able to completely turn Big Mickey's dynamic talent into his own. Coupled with O'Neal's static talent, Wang Zhelin feels that he should be able to compete with top-level talented black athletes. My current self should have 60% of the talents of O'Neal's peak period. Wang Zhelin thought. Episode 29. Peaceful breakup. In a villa in Modu, two men wearing oversized loose-fitting sportswear are sitting on the huge sofa chatting about something, but it can be seen from their laughter that the two are chatting happily. Brother Yao, long time no see. Ha ha ha, weren't you pretty wild when you were at the award ceremony that day? What the hell, you're so humble today. Look at what you said, Brother Yao. In fact, I have always had very high admiration for you in my heart. I grew up watching you play football. You have always been my idol, no one. It's all right, stop your meaty behavior. I'm so embarrassed that my goosebumps fall to the ground. I still prefer your rebellious look a few days ago, please restore it. This time, Wang Zhelin put away his hippie smile and said solemnly, good brother. Actually, this time I simply want to learn from you, so that I can refer to it. Ah. This delicious food is really nostalgic. Yao Ming took a mouthful of the long-lost happy fat house water, and then said slowly, oh, you want to ask about that thing back then? That's right, after all, in the CBA, I've only been mixed for a year, and I don't know the temperament of the people above. I have to count on you, Brother Yao. Wang Zhelin nodded quickly. If you call this a year of misunderstanding, what is labor and capital in that year? Feeling that someone seemed to have something to say, Yao Ming couldn't help but complain. Actually, there are only a few requirements, you should pay attention. At this time, a crab with a fat stomach passed by, but soon left. Do you understand? Okay, then thank you Brother Yao. After learning from Yao Ming, Wang Zhelin returned to his hometown. Inside the Xuanqing Club, Your Majesty, do you have to leave? You must go. Don't think about it anymore? I have made up my mind. Alas, life is full of wind and rain, I wish you much treasure. I wish you, the same is true. The above is the literary version. Wake up, this era is all about money. If you really want to talk about feelings, it will hurt money. The real situation is, if Wang Zhelin is really selected in the draft, in order to give back to the club's various professional training since he was 14 years old, he will take out 2% of the contract he signed in the NBA every year for free. Compensation, of course, is limited to the first 4 years of his career, and that's only 2% of his NBA contract, not including off-court earnings. The club has already done it, and the real boss is about to play. A manager's request is, out of the country's cultivation of him, in order to give back to the motherland, every year, 3% of his NBA contract should be taken out and handed over to the country until the end of his career. Similarly, the 3% extracted in this clause does not include off-site income. However, a certain management has additional rigid requirements. Every international competition, Wang Zhelin must come back to play for the country. Intercontinental competitions can be determined according to the situation, and world-class competitions must be recalled. Although these two clauses seem excessive, they are actually a little bit excessive. After all, this kind of behavior by a certain tube belongs to pure prostitution. No, it should be more extreme than prostitutes for nothing. His behavior belongs to the behavior of not paying after prostitutes and turning around to steal money. But still that sentence, compared to roughly and Deo, Wang Zhelin felt that he was lucky enough. The predecessors planted trees, and the later generations enjoyed the shade. That's what it said. In addition to learning a lesson from Yao Ming, the reason why a certain tube is willing to let him go so easy is also thanks to Yao Ming and the people behind him who put pressure on a certain tube. Of course, Wang Zhelin didn't give anything. Yao Ming once asked him to make a promise that if he really got a firm foothold in the NBA and made achievements in the future, he had to promise to stand on Yao Ming's side at some critical times. Is this the so-called gang formation? I like it. Obviously, Yao Ming's willingness to take action was not entirely due to his brother, but also had a part of gambling. He is betting on the future of King Zhelin. Naturally, everyone is happy if the bet is won, but if the bet is lost, it will not have much impact on Yao Ming's future political career. It seems that the words of a certain star are not unreasonable. The rich only help the rich. In the same way, people with resources only help those with resources. After all, you have an apple and I have an apple. If we exchange it, the same will remain the same. But if you have a seed, I will. Ahem, let's go back to more serious topics. After solving the hidden dangers in the country, Wang Zhelin, who is not light-hearted, finally embarked on the journey of reporting for the national team. Before I knew it, it was March 18th. As the first batch of men's basketball national team members, Wang Zhelin was about to fly to Kyoto. Outside the airport isolation line, the royal father and mother are saying goodbye to their son. Zhelin, when you go abroad, listen to the coaches and Dayo more, pay attention to safety, don't make assumptions, and don't do anything that violates discipline. Listen to the leaders more. Ershing Qianli's mother was worried, and Queen Mother Lin Huiqing's face was already full of tears. Yu reading www.yuukaongshu.com. Okay Emily, the children are all grown-ups. It's a shame that you are still crying in front of so many people. Wang Changhai has always been the most unbearable of women crying, especially his wife. The heart of a tough man has to turn into softness around his fingers. That's right, Mom, I'm an adult, you don't have to worry about it. Besides, it's not the first time I've gone to the national team for training. I know it. After hugging with his parents one by one, Wang Zhelin picked up his luggage and embarked on a journey to Kyoto. If nothing else, this time he will stay until around May, and then fly directly to the United States on the other side of the ocean to prepare for this year's draft. In Kyoto, in the Three Trees Gymnasium, at this time, 10 big men were doing vigorous exercise inside. These people are the first batch of people to report to the national team, including Han Dejuan, Li Xiaoxiu, Yang Ming, Wang Zhizhi, Zhang Bo, Yi, Ding Jinhui, Zhang Xiaoxiu, Liu Wei, and Wang Zhelin, who is currently recognized as the first player in the CBA. As for the second batch of players such as Yi Jianlian and Zhire Lijiang, they will be suitable for the national team in 10 days. Yao, I didn't expect that you just retired, and there is such a talented big man in the heaven. How God favors you, an ancient family with a long history. Since the start of the 5v5 training game in the team, Hua Deng, then the coach of the national team, never took his eyes off the player wearing the 20 red jersey for a moment. This player's lineup is Wang Zhelin. In this national team training camp, he changed his number 17 jersey to a brand new number 20. The reason is very simple, his birthday is the 20th. However, the real meaning is probably only understood by Wang Zhelin himself. He is saying goodbye to his predecessor. Episode 30, Training Camp. I actually think so too. The men's basketball team leader of the London Olympics in 2012 is the recently retired Yao Ming, so for the next few months, he will eat and live with the players until the end of the Olympic men's basketball competition. Aren't you Chinese people always humble? That's for outsiders, Lao Deng, you are our own. Although Deng Huademing knew that Yao Ming's words were more polite, he was still happy in his heart. Hua Deng looked at his watch, 20 minutes had passed. Do. The third round of team training is over. It's finally over, I feel like my body is about to fall apart. Who's not? That guy, Your Majesty, is an animal. Why do I feel that his strength has made a breakthrough again? His mid-range shooting is much more stable than before. That's why I said he was just an animal. As soon as the game ended, everyone couldn't help but complain. Wang Zhelin was used to the discussion of the crowd. After throwing the basketball aside, he walked straight to Yao Ming and the others. King, your competitive state is maintained well. I thought that after winning the CBA championship, you would relax properly. After seeing Wang Zhelin's strength, Deng Huada raised his tactical status to the same position as Yi Jianlian. He already knew the starting insider combinations for this Olympic Games. Mr. Deng Huada, my goal has always been the NBA. I am very aware of the gap between the CBA and the NBA, so I dare not relax for a moment. Zhelin, in fact, Huada Deng is right, it is necessary to relax properly. As a person who has come here, Yao Ming is well aware of the reason why it is easy to break. It's alright, brother Yao, why should you sleep for a long time before you die? You will sleep forever after you die. If you don't work hard now while you're young, you won't have time to work hard when you're old. Wang Zhelin waved his hand and rejected Yao Ming's suggestion. You know what you have in mind. Yao Ming couldn't refute the words of the young man in front of him. He asked himself, didn't he have the strength to dominate the NBA through his hard work back then? Before the arrival of the Olympic Games, in order to keep the men's basketball players in a financial state and understand the level of the world's top teams in advance. In the next 2.5 months, a certain tube prepared more than 10 games for the men's basketball team. On May 16th, 18th and 20th, they went to the United States to play against the American Stars for 3 games. From June 9th to 13th, they rushed to the Kangaroo Country Perth and other cities to have a warm-up match with the Kangaroo Country national team. From June 22nd to 29th, the China-Europe competition will be held in China. There are 2 stops in this competition, and a total of 4 teams will participate. From July 6th to 10th, the Stankovic Cup will be played in Guangzhou, and a total of 4 games will be played. On July 20th, he went to Poland for a warm-up match with the Polish national team. Since this year's draft will be held on June 29th, he can't participate in the first 4 countries' games, but he can play a dozen games against Poland. Now he can't wait to play against the Polish center. To reiterate, it's a real Polish center. He definitely didn't mean to black anyone. Well, really? In the blink of an eye, it was April 20th, and the location was still the Three Trees Gymnasium, but this time there were only 12 people left. These people were officially selected for the men's basketball team for the London Olympics. Head coach Deng Huada. Assistant coach Fli Nan. Team leader Yao Ming. Player list: center Wang Zhelin, Han Dejuan; forwards Yi Jianlian, Wang Zhizhi, Zhu Fangyu, Zhou Pang, Yi Li; defenders Chen Jianghua, Lu Wei, Wang Shipeng, Sun Yu, Ding Jinhui. Except for Zhang Xiaoxue, who was topped by Wang Zhelin, the remaining 11 people are the same as in the original history, and nothing has changed. Although this Chinese men's basketball team is not as good as the one in 2008, with the addition of Wang Zhelin, it will never be as miserable as in the original history. At the entrance of the gym, teammates all came to see Wang Zhelin off. Your Majesty, I wish you a smooth journey, and you are missing halfway. Sun Yu, the most hippie smiling face on weekdays, couldn't help joking. Tumbling, when I come back, let's see if I will cover you up like a baby boy. He immediately patted Sun Yu's butt. What? What? Okay, don't make trouble. Yi Jianlian, the new brother of the men's basketball team, stood up and interrupted the play of the two crazy kids in front of him. Looking at the current 18-year-old boy, Yi Jianlian suddenly remembered that he was the same at the beginning. He broke into the NBA in high spirits, and began to fantasize about how to make his own way. But unfortunately, he finally turned around and came back. As for Sun Yu, it can only be said that he lived up to his talent, not to mention it. Zhelin, I, a loser, have nothing to say to you. I wish you the best of luck in the NBA. Don't say that, brother Alian, you used to be my idol, but I grew up watching you play football. Feeling that Yi Jianlian seemed to be in a low mood, Wang Zhelin quickly stepped forward and comforted him. This time, Yi Jianlian was not hit on the knee by his teammates during training. Maybe he still has a good chance to gain a foothold in the Mavericks. Okay, I'm not that easy to admit defeat. You go to the NBA to take it with you, and I'll find you sooner or later. Well, then I'll be waiting for you. After chatting with Yi Jianlian, Wang Zhelin turned around and hugged his teammates one by one to say goodbye. Goodbye everyone, see you in London. After waving for the last time in the car, Wang Zhelin and his agent Zhou Yang left the gym where they stayed for a whole month. Zhelin, Yuukanshu www.yuukangshu.com Septwolves and De Leeuwen's endorsement have already negotiated. This is the plan I negotiated with them. Take a look. After boarding the plane, Zhou Yang and Wang Zhelin talked about the two previous endorsements taking advantage of this precious free time. Oh, really? If Zhou Yang didn't say it, Wang Zhelin almost forgot that there were two other endorsers who had approached him. Septwolves, the endorsement time is 1 year, and the endorsement fee is 5 million. Daliuan, the endorsement time is 1 year, and the endorsement fee is 4 million. As soon as I saw it, the endorsement time and endorsement fee became the 2 points that Wang Zhelin paid the most attention to. After all, money is what everyone cares about the most. As for the other specific requirements that follow, Zhou Yang and a professional team of lawyers must be responsible. Uncle Zhou, I don't know much about these endorsement fees and so on. Just tell me, is this contract worth it? Wang Zhelin's question was completely within Zhou Yang's expectations, and he chuckled lightly. Let's compare the stars in the entertainment industry. Your feeling is no worse than those first-line stars, it's worth looking at it now. Oh. Wang Zhelin almost understood what Zhou Yang meant. There is nothing wrong with signing money now, but if he has a real foothold in the NBA, the endorsement fee will be a small loss. If it was a big loss, Zhou Yang would never recommend him to sign. Let's sign the contract as usual. After all, it's a well-known brand in my hometown. I should support it. Okay, then when we get back off the plane, I'll arrange a shooting time. 2 weeks have passed quickly, and Wang Zhelin has completed the filming of the advertising endorsement. Now, his eyes have turned to the NBA on the other side of the ocean.